Well, they should teach me to believe everything I read from Insider Gaming, I guess. A new Lord of the Rings game is coming from Warhorse despite earlier reports that it was not Warhorse that was making them. This was confirmed directly by Warhorse themselves. It will be an open world Middle-earth RPG. There wasn't a whole lot of information on what this game is going to be like. It really states anything like that. It was just like, hey, we're making this kind of thing. Warhorse itself is owned by Embracer, which made perhaps even bigger news as they'll be splitting themselves off into two different companies. One of which is where both Warhorse and Crystal Dynamics, who is also rumored to be making a Lord of the Rings game, will be under. The new company will be called Fellowship Entertainment. Just like literally right on the nose. In total, Fellowship Entertainment will have Warhorse, Crystal Dynamics, Dam Buster Studios, 4A Games, Dark Horse Media, Eidos Montreal, Fish Labs, Flying Wild Hog Studios, Gunfire Games, Middle-earth Enterprises, and Red Octane Games. The new studio will focus on the IPs of Tomb Raider, Darksiders, Dead Island, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Metro, Remnant, and of course, Lord of the Rings. The rest of Embracer's overstuffed stable of game developers will stay with Embracer, which is moving to more decentralized. For RPG fans, it should be noted that Embracer itself will still have the IPs of Gothic, Kingdom of Amalur, and Titan Quest. Of those three, of course, we're getting the Gothic remake, we're going to be getting Titan Quest 2 when it eventually moves out of early access, but maybe someday we can dream of a Kingdom of Amalur 2. Given Embracer's history of failing to get deals and, killing off studios that we all know and love, well, maybe this is a good thing, I hope. Possibly. My hope is this is kind of a way to stop the bleeding that they've been spurting blood all over the game industry for years now, since their failed billion-dollar deal that they jumped the gun and thought they had and just went and bought up all these studios and then murdered them all. They've been the Grim Reaper heralding a lot of the ills of the game industry for a while now, with thousands upon thousands of layoffs since they took that deal. Maybe this means they're finally evening out, and splitting off into two companies will allow them to actually act independently of each other. And, well, I don't know, they did kind of promote the person that caused all of that issue, so I don't know if anything that they do is smart, but I'm not a business person. I guess I don't fire people, but at least I can be hopeful that maybe this is a turning point, a sign that the game industry might be leveling off a little bit and we won't see so many freaking announcements of layoffs every single day. I just hope that's the case. But that might not fully be the case because we have some other sad news because another game that I was personally really excited about just got canceled. Hasbro has canceled the Dungeons & Dragons game in development from Giant Skull. Giant Skull was a new studio formed by Stig Amundsen, the director of the Jedi series. The game was announced less than a year ago. At least publicly, things still sound somewhat rosy between the companies, and Wizard of the Coast is actually still taking new pitches from Giant Skull, which remains operational and is talking to other publishing partners as well as Wizards. Now, I don't know if this means they just denied this one pitch, and then maybe they'll come back later, but the whole year of this and they're like, nope, we don't want this. I don't know, maybe Giant Skull just has to rework their pitch and we may still get a similar game, but I'm not super hopeful. This was sad because of the Dungeons & Dragons games announced more recently. This one I think is the one that had the most promise. Like Warlock, the history of the developer making that game makes me very hesitant to even care much. So far, I think post-Larian, Hasbro and Wizard of the Coast has kind of fumbled out of the gate of trying to actually make stuff work with the Dungeons & Dragons IP in video games, something that they really wanted to do. So it really concerns me that they're canceling one from a proven game director, even if it's a new studio. The last bit of news I want to point to is some very, very vague posting from Amazon about Lord of the Rings IP, also involved with Embracer Group, as reported by Eurogamer. We're still fresh off Amazon killing off its second attempt at the Lord of the Rings MMO when they slashed through their gaming division to suck up as many little bits of resources as they could for AI. But it seems like they aren't quite done, as a new report promises Amazon is continuing to, quote, explore a compelling new game experience set in Middle-earth. Whatever the hell that means. It's vague on purpose and doesn't seem to point to anything specific, and Amazon Game Studio does have some ties to Crystal Dynamics, as reported by Eurogamer. So we don't really know if this is a third project, a reimagining of their MMO into something else, or is it just Amazon trying to save some face? But there you have it, some good news, some bad news, really just a lot of news coming out of video games, especially if you're like me and a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings IP. I'm surprised we got an official confirmation from Warhorse before Crystal Dynamics if the original rumors that Crystal Dynamics was already working on a game and had already started a lot of work on a game are true. Those are the ones coming from Insider Gaming that said basically they had confirmed that the game that is rumored to be Lord of the Rings was not from Warhorse and it was actually from Crystal Dynamics, and it was going to be an adventure game, not an open world game. This makes me think that maybe we're getting two Lord of the Rings game, and maybe Crystal Dynamics wants everyone to focus on their upcoming Tomb Raider games instead of their Lord of the Rings game. I'm happy with the idea of getting two Lord of the Rings game. We've had not really enough good Lord of the Rings games in a very long time. The fact that we still go look back to the early games that were basically movie tie-ins as some of the best Lord of the Rings games we've had, that's probably saying a lot of how underutilized this IP has been in the genre. I mean, we had the Shadow of Mordor games, Shadow of War games, and those were great, but that resulted in a freaking copyright of a Nemesis system that can't be used by anyone really for now, since they killed off the studio that made it. Yeah. As always, all my sources are down below if you want to take a look yourself and see if you come up with something different. My name is Edward Flynn. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. And I hope we get some good fucking games out of this. I really do. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.